Hey, I'm Maria back with another video. It's 10:57 a.m. It is November 19th. I believe today is Thursday. Let me just check on that. Yes, it's Thursday. Good morning, everyone. So I decided to make this video just kind of like clearing out my head and kind of like reviewing, this whole gang stalking drama that has been going on for quite a long time. And when you get gang stalked, there's usually reasons why you're being gang stalked. In my case, obviously it must have started when I was with my ex-husband and the whole thing about me telling my husband that I was biracial or whatever. That's a huge part of it. But I think it was, made into something that was kind of ridiculous, to be honest with you. But I do think that some people think of me as eccentric when I look at myself as completely normal. Now, I do know that there's certain things that I might do that may not be what other people do, especially that might pertain to my race. But there's a lot of other black people that I've met who speak well, who are intelligent, who have different varied interests, okay? Unfortunately, I don't really have communication with these people because I can't really trust anyone right now. But they do exist, okay? So you're basically kind of like considered an oddity is what you are. You're different. But I will say though, the way that I speak and the way that I behave is not unusual for other members of my family. Now, even though I don't really get along with my family, they speak well. They have different interests and everything. So I think a lot of times people are limited to preconceived ideas. They base everything that they see on television programs. And television, like for example, you see a sitcom with black people on it. A lot of times these are written by white people, and they're just basically writing in their perception or what they believe black people live like. Like they think, and they base it off of maybe particular stereotypes mainly is what it is. So when they encounter a real black person, they think, well, I don't know what to expect. They always expect what they saw on TV shows or whatever. Well, anyway, aside from all that, because I find that conversation kind of boring, because in my mind, I've already made peace with who I am, okay? I am a different person. I see things differently. But I don't believe that I'm so eccentric that it warrants, gang stalking. I really don't. But like I said, for people who are ignorant, who don't understand, who have limited understanding, or who have watched television shows all their life, or have been influenced by the media, or what do you call it, racist or prejudiced views from their family that carried on through traditions. And when they encounter someone like me, then it's different for them, and I fully understand that. So, growing up, I had mentioned that, I grew up in a predominantly white area. My speaking skills came from my father and my mother. Now, my mother kind of has like this, I don't know, kind of tinge to her voice a little bit. But for the most part, we've always spoken proper English, okay? And there's nothing wrong with speaking proper English. I find that, it's very difficult when you're dealing with people of other races, particularly white people, because they get upset if a black person speaks in what they call ebonics, okay? But then they get upset if you speak proper English, okay? This is the illogical mindset of racist people, because in their mind, they just have this intense hatred. So I'm not saying all white people, but some white people, a lot of white people, okay, have this intense hatred for black people anyway. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, okay? And I'm understanding of that situation as well, okay? So this whole issue is a very sensitive topic, and it certainly should not have been an issue that was used to gang stalk me, especially when it came to employment, okay? When I think about who I am, I look at my daily routine, and I don't think my life is really that odd. I'm somebody who is very spiritual, and I do go inside myself, okay? A lot of churches, for example, tell people to do the same thing. They instruct their congregations to take out time for meditation. They may not use the word meditation, but they might say intense prayer or, just to take out quiet time to listen to your inner voice. That inner voice is usually divinely inspired, which I think is a good thing, okay? And when you grow up mostly by yourself, you you tend to listen to that inner voice, okay? My inner voice has never failed me. Okay, there are times where I've had dreams or thoughts that ran through my mind that I completely disregarded. Like I kept thinking, that seems a little odd or fantastic or over the top. And then now looking back on the situation, it's like, whoa, there was more to that than, I thought of at the time, Like back in 2012, I was having visions in my mind, or I should say dreams, okay? Now, if you're a Christian, you know that their dreams have been communicated. Divine dreams have come to people many times, and these messages were important. Some of them were prophetic, some of them meaning that they're able to predict future events. Some dreams are meant to unscramble your everyday life, okay? Like for example, you might drive by a poster or a billboard, okay? And you may not pay any attention to that billboard other than you quickly take a glance at it, okay? But later on that evening, it's going to regurgitate in your mind, and you're going to have a craving for like a particular soft drink or something because it has left an imprint in your mind. Sometimes dreams are just regurgitations of what you've actually experienced, okay? But during this time of 2012, when it became quite obvious that there was this sort of contempt for me, especially at my workplace, okay? I was having dreams like all the time, like, weird things that involved my ex-husband's family, and then this weird stuff that was going on, like I kept thinking, this is very strange, okay? Like, because I don't think about, when I say his ex-family, I'm referring to his mother. I don't think about these people on my free time, okay? Like, I don't, because I never really had that close a relationship with them. And so, but these dreams are trying to tell you something, okay? And so, like, when I would think, I would disregard them, shrug them off or whatever. As a spiritual person, and I consider myself to be extremely spiritual, that was dumb for me to ignore those things, okay? But I was so inundated with what was going on in my daily life, my daily waking life. Like, I knew there was bullshit going on at my workplace, right? So I didn't quite put the two together. When looking back, it makes a lot of sense. So I encourage other people to not just shrug off their dreams. Don't just shrug them off, or these little thoughts that come through your mind. They're not bullshit, okay? I think sometimes society conditions us to disregard them, to think that they're not of any value. I'm going to tell you they are. So what puts me apart from the majority of people, and I'm not talking just race, okay, is that I'm fully aware that there's a spiritual force and there's a earthly force, and they do interconnect, and I'm aware of that, okay? And I think anybody who has whatever religion they belong to, there is an underlying message to do exactly that. But see, I'm the kind of person who devotes their life to my spiritual pursuits. So that puts me apart from people. But I'm not ashamed of who I am. I'm not. I think that I'm a decent person. I'm not going to say I'm a good person, okay? Because no one's good but God. But I think that, I'm a person who's not deserving of the bullshit that I received. Okay, I don't deserve that, and I will never accept that sort of abuse. And I'm content with my lifestyle, meaning I'm content with my spirituality. And I believe that people who live a good spiritual life demonstrate that through the way that they live. Okay, you can tell that I'm a content person, meaning because I don't have the need to go out and gang stalk other people, blacklist other people, sleep with other people's spouses, or feel like I'm in a position to do things to another human being, to bully them, okay? Because I don't need to. There's a contentment of my spiritual ideas, my beliefs. When you see people who want to push their views on you, there's an insecurity there because they don't really believe it themselves. They need other people to endorse their belief system because they have a hard time accepting it themselves. I don't need that, okay? My confirmation comes from within. I'm content with it. I don't need to prove it to anybody. I don't need to try to convert other people to my way of living, okay? But I do understand that, in the Bible, it does talk about prophesizing, meaning, you're supposed to share the good word with other people, okay? But you don't force it. You basically present it, saying, this is what we believe. This is how we choose to live. Do you want to come in? Come on for the ride. Come in for the ride, or come on for the ride. Or no, you don't want it. And if you don't want it, like Jesus never banged people upside the head. He didn't gang stalk people. He didn't blacklist people. He didn't do anything. He shrugged his shoulders, because those sort of things are supposed to be determined in the afterlife. Or if, God decides to destroy the earth while we're all here, then he's going to sort them all out according to his judgment, not human beings' judgment. Okay? So it doesn't matter how much a person lives in, which I'm kind of shocked that I was looked upon as somebody who was living a defiled lifestyle, when the people who were attacking me, it's just whoa, hypocrite. But anyway, I'm getting over that. But I'm just saying is that when you hear, and I understand mind control, I understand cults, I understand the law, I'm somebody who studies these things, okay? And yeah, I am. I guess my other part of me being eccentric is because not only do I take knowledge and receive it, I apply it. And I see the value of it. We live in a system where there's laws out there, but people don't pay attention to them. You know what I mean? And I was just thinking a few days ago about, law enforcement. I think about certain people who wear badges, like cops and stuff. They don't have to have any sort of knowledge of the law or prior degrees to show that they understand the law and how to apply it. So think about the chaos and the abuse that goes on. I'm not saying all cops, okay, but the corruption is there, okay? There's a corruption everywhere, and I'm well aware of that. And my life goal and duty to myself, my responsibility to myself, is to not be a part of this garbage that we see in society. Okay, and even the Bible says you're not supposed to be a part of the world. We live in it. We have to function in it. The Bible also talks about, giving Caesar what we owe Caesar. No one's crazy about the IRS, okay? But the Bible says, if you work, you live in a certain vicinity, it's your responsibility to pay your taxes. Pay your taxes, okay? No one likes paying the taxes. Everybody hates paying them. But we live here on this earth, and this is the guideline that we're supposed to follow, so we follow it. You know what I mean? Because that's what the Bible says, and instructions. There are instructions that we're supposed to do. But are we supposed to adapt to customs and stuff like that just because everyone else is doing it? No, we don't. I believe in individualism, okay? But it's not something that I actively promote. I talk about it on this channel because it's my channel, and because there were people who wanted to bully me into being in this unified thought that I don't believe in, okay? And, growing up with my ex-family, my blood relations, I was always told, you do what you want to do. By the time you're 17, you choose your religion. You choose your lifestyle. Your life is your life. It's your business. Okay, and then to come back years later and you have these people trying to tell you what to do, blah, 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 because they're either jealous, competitive, or whatever. It doesn't fly with me. Okay? This is my one and only life that I know of, okay? Now, I know the Bible talks about afterlives, and there's all kinds of information, there's all kinds of interpretations on what happens in the afterlife, but as far as I know, this is the only life that I know, okay? And it's my life to live, and this is the way I choose to live it, okay? And according to the laws of this country, I have every right to, And it's not rebellion. I'm not a nonconformist. Okay? Nonconformity would be people who are living in a way that goes against the laws and guidelines of this country or community or whatever. Those are the things. Things they purposely go against laws. They don't respect these sort of things, okay? So I don't believe, and I know I'm not in the wrong, okay? So, I was thinking, about the issue that I told my husband many years ago about me being biracial. And, when I first rolled into this town, I was aware that there was racism there. So I think, that story that I told him was there for me to protect myself. Because obviously, as we have seen through this, this little demonstration of racism, we can obviously see that there's racism that exists, okay? There's racism that exists. And I do know that when it comes to race, people generally tend to be very discriminating about certain things, okay? But I didn't intend to marry this person originally, okay? But I'm not ashamed of who I am. Now, when I was growing up, I think the idea of white supremacy, white standards, Euro standards, it affects everyone, okay? It affects black people. It affects people of other races. It affects even white people, okay? This is one of the reasons why white people tend to have this sense of superiority. I'm not saying all white people, but it's very common in society, okay, that I'm very much aware of. And a good example of this would be the fact that somebody would assume that I would want my ex-husband even though he has treated me like garbage. Because in his mind, he thinks he's some sort of God. He thinks that he's somebody that nobody can refuse and that no one, he's this man who has privileges that people of color don't. Okay, so I acknowledge the fact that there is white supremacy in this world, okay? Now, some people say, because I'm acknowledging the fact that there's white supremacy in this world, that doesn't mean that I'm a Black Panther. That doesn't mean that I'm militant to the point of where I'm going to create protest, agitation, confrontation, or anything like that. It's just, that's just the fucking way it is, okay? So I don't want to be entangled in it, okay? But I also understand that my color, my skin color, creates issues with some people, okay? But when you are a young kid and you watch television shows, for example, now I watched the Brady Bunch a lot when I was a kid. I never related to the fact that the Brady Bunch were white people. I just related to the fact that they're a family that are bunch of goody two-shoes. Everything goes well in their life, They have these problems that are just ridiculous. That's silly, frivolous problems or whatever. But I watched the content. Like I used to watch Little House on the Prairie. I never thought, well, they're white and these issues don't apply to me. They apply to everyone because most of the time they were universal issues. Okay, were they not really based in reality because, obviously it's a television show. But still, it is what it is, okay? But when you are a young person, okay, when you're a minority particularly, I think every minority is affected with white ideals, white standards, because they set this as the norm. They do, they set it as the norm. So when you're growing up, you think, now I don't ever recall, I think when I was little, really little, I thought, I had a few blonde Barbie dolls and I kept thinking, I kind of want to do that. But as I go older, no, I accept and love my dark skin, my brown skin, okay? There is nothing that I envy about white people, okay? Now, what I do understand what white people have, the benefit that they do have, that I've acknowledged myself, is that they could put you in a program, they could put you in a genocide program, they can abuse you outright in the open, they could not do their job and go out and get another one, just like that. You can work 10 times as hard as a white person and you can struggle your entire life. Now that I do recognize, okay? But I don't desire their white skin. I wish my hair wasn't so hard to tame all the time. That's one thing I wish, okay? I wish I would, okay? I wish, seriously, because I wish I had hair that was more manageable. You know what I mean? But oh well. Like that's one of the reasons why I wear wigs, okay? Because it's easier for me, okay? But do I wish that I was white? Do I want to be white? No. I don't want to be white. What I do want is I want to be taken seriously when it comes to work. What I do want is that my work gets appreciated. What I do want is that I live my life, and when I work hard, it matters. And that's it. And maybe it's a pipe dream. Maybe it is. But that's what I want in life, okay? Now, I can be out in the sun all day long if I want to. Okay? And I know the white skin burns under the sun, okay? I'm happy with who I am. But I do acknowledge that white people do have privileges that I don't have. That's a reality, okay? Also, I understand that individualism is recognized in society, whereas black or any other race of individualism is not accepted in society. For example, you'll watch a television show and there's a variety of different white characters. You have these people who, you might find a white character who is into Mozart. You might find one who's into hard rock. You might find one who's into country, one who's sporty, one who's very romantic and what do you call it? When I mean romantic, kind of girly, kind of based in history and the arts and blah, blah, blah. These variety of different eclectic personalities, okay? This is perceived as normal, okay? But when you see a black person, you expect them to be one way. They don't expect any deviations, and that's not true. There's deviations in everybody. Okay, some black people listen to rap 24 hours a day because they grew up in a certain way. Okay, they might have grown up in an inner city or something like that. And then there's some people who might have raised in a country living to where they're not interested in that. And I know some black people who love the fuck out of country music, okay? We're a variety of different people. And this is something that is not understood among white people. Or, people in general. But I would say white people, since they set the standard. And realistically, they do set the standard for society. And that's why you see so many different minorities who are influenced. Like, I've seen Asian people who dye their hair blonde, and I don't necessarily think that blonde hair, it's something that's more common among white people. Some people dye their hair blonde because they just want contrast, okay? Doesn't necessarily mean they want to be white, but still, I would say that white standards do influence, a lot of the decisions in society, okay? I'm aware of that. And, I was accused of being racist when I left the Varmouth. I didn't do anything that was racist at all. But what I think I did do inadvertently was challenge white supremacy by the simple fact that I said that I was half white. Many years ago, over close to 20 years ago. 2001 will be 20 years exactly when this happened. And that was a long time ago, okay? So no, I don't. I think that being white means those things. Being white means those things. It means getting what you want, having privileges, and that's what it is to me. Nothing else is what it is to me. I like being who I am. I do. I like being who I am. And I'm very interested in my roots as a black person. Not so much as the African experience, but I like the early American experience of my people. I'm very interested in that. But who do I have to share that stuff with? I don't have anyone to talk about, those things, especially the times of the 1920s all the way to the 1940s. Who do I have? I don't have any friends. You know what I mean? I don't have any. Part of that is mainly because it's gang stalking. Because once you realize that most of your people that are surrounding you aren't truly your friends, you don't want to interact with these people anymore. So it's time to cut the ties and make new friends. You know what I mean? And they don't necessarily have to be black, but I will tell you, in order for me to have a white friend, I don't want to hear that guff out of their mouth. You know what I mean? Or somebody who's trying to place expectations on me, or has unrealistic views about me, because that's draining. It's draining. They would have to be a little bit more understanding about certain things like that. But anyway, so yeah, that's just how it is, So yesterday was an okay day. I got a lot of stuff done. Kept my house clean. I did the dishes. I always do the dishes, but like sometimes I get tired at night lately, and so I go to bed. And yesterday I cleaned the house, and I was keeping on top of everything. I was like, yay! I had a lot of energy yesterday. I want to get outside, and yes, I want to go for a walk, and I'm planning on going for a walk later on this afternoon. No, it has nothing to do with my ex-husband. It's got nothing to do with the guy from high school. It has everything to do with me being stuck in the house and not having direct sunlight. I need sunlight. Okay. Just like, some people, they say in Seattle, go through depression because they don't have sunlight. If you're cooped in this house, I will tell you there's hardly any light that comes into this apartment. I guess the roof is kind of slanted, and then the sun comes in directly from the east in my window. But in my bedroom, which is where I mostly hang out, okay, I'm in the living room right now, where I mostly hang out in my bedroom, there is no sunlight. I mean, there's like very little sunlight. I could open the window, but because of the dark covering over the patio, which my window is facing, I don't get a lot of sunlight. You know what I mean? So in order to feel energized, to help my mood, and to also talk my issues out, because I like when I'm walking, I'm talking to myself, thinking, okay, this, and I formulate thoughts, ideas, whatever, clears my mind. You know what I mean? And I think that the bullying campaign was absurd, but it proves a lot of points. That I think is really important to remember. And no, I'm not a confrontational person. But, if I was a confrontational person, like if I was somebody who, because, I know that what happened to me over the farmer's place, for example, okay? What happened to me over the farmer's place was an example, a great example of racism, okay? And see, the thing is that when you notice racism, okay, and you mention that you're being a little illogical here, okay? That's all. I didn't even say anything like that. I just left the company, but they took it upon themselves to continually follow me, badger me, and blah, 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 blah. That's an act of white supremacy, okay? Very much like the Ku Klux Klan type bullshit that was going on, okay? I didn't do anything, but I was accused of it. See, because in my mind, some abusive white people think it's okay to do what they do, okay? And if you say anything, like if you say, hey, you hurt me, could you please knock it off? Then they abuse you even more. Kind of like lynch you back in like the old Jim Crow days is kind of like what that was. It was illogical bullshit is what I was dealing with. And I did nothing. I did nothing of the sort. I didn't hurt a company by saying anything or doing anything, but I was accused of hurting a company. I didn't hurt any company. You know what I mean? So I just, when you're dealing with racism and you're facing it, you have to do it straight on. But you also have to do it in a way where you're not going to come off as threatening to white people, because white people will perceive anything that you do as a threat to them. And I've never done anything to be a threat to anybody. You know what I mean? I didn't. Like when that happened over the farm, I quietly got my shit together and started looking for another job. But then I think it was my ex-husband's family who was just like, we're gonna get her, blah, blah, blah. I'm not interested in any of that. I'm really not. Okay? I'm just a person who's trying to get by in this life. You know what I mean? So, anyway, I think that's pretty much really all I wanted to say. Kind of share my thoughts on that. I'm hanging in there, doing what I can. I try to be, I'm a peaceful person. I believe that, I believe everyone has the right to live. You know what I mean? And everyone has the right to live. There's a lot of things on this earth, in this world, that are unfair, that are unbalanced. And you just hope for the best. That's all you can do. I know there's a lot of people who talk about change, a lot of protests, especially going on right now. I'm not a part of any of that. Okay? My personal belief is to create your home, wherever that may be, enjoy your home, enjoy your surroundings, and forget about the outside world. Okay, there's always been attempts to try to change and modify and correct the negative behavior of people. That's been going on for centuries. Okay, I don't believe it's ever going to change. I don't believe it's meant to change. That's just like you being sent to hell and telling Satan, could you please lower the flames to make it a little more comfortable for me? That's like pretty much what that's in. Earth is meant to be hell. The shit that goes on here in this world is going to be on here because this is what our earthly existence is supposed to. It's an obstacle course that is spiritually predestined for everyone. Some suffer worse than others. Okay, it's a platform to determine our next life according to what the Bible says or whatever. However, there's so many religious books that reference this whole shit. But whatever goes on this earth, when you recognize evil, you acknowledge it and you just try to steer clear of it. And what happened to me was fucking evil. It was fucking evil, plain and simple. And I can go on and on and on and on and on about it, but as peaceful as I am, and because I'm a peaceful person, I've said nothing about it. So any kind of bullshit that's going on, it's coming from them, because I haven't done anything. And yes, I do acknowledge that what happened was wrong. I didn't want to actually talk about it. But like I said, when I realized in 2015 that bullshit was going on after I left that employer's place, that's what made me talk. Because the whole agreement of that confidentiality contract that I signed was for me to be quiet about it, to just move on. See, I still have a copy of that too, in my file box, in my little magical file box that I keep, and in my magical file box. Well, I keep all my documents from DMV, blah 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 blah, in there, and I still have that. I still have that confidentiality contract, And obviously there was a breach of that contract. So, and they wanted to try to penalize me for what? I didn't do anything. Okay. So it's bullshit. Bullshit. Anyway, but bullshit goes on this earth, like I said. You know what I mean? And I'm not somebody I don't believe it's going to change the voting system. I don't believe you can sit there and talk about how much your life matters to anybody. You just take cover. Meaning you keep to yourself, you use discretion, and you hope for the best. And you develop your spiritual life. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I will be back with another video some other time later. To all TIs, stay safe.